She was banished to a doghouse by her own mother, then rebuilt her life, saved a niece, and forced family public reckoning. Winter mornings in Boston were cold from dawn, and by evening, sharp winds swept through the streets. Megan Wilson had the heater in her old sedan turned up to maximum as she drove from the accounting office where she had just finished her last client meeting to her mother's house. "Lily, I'm sorry, Mom's running late again," she said. Her 10-year-old daughter's cheerful voice echoed through the phone. "It's okay, Mom. Grandma said she's making dinner, but come home soon." Megan sighed softly. Her mother, Barbara, rarely prepared meals for her. Lily must have asked her directly. After hanging up, she glanced at the dashboard clock showing 7 post-meridian. With tax season approaching, Megan's workload was increasing daily. Barbara's house was in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Her mother had been living alone in this oversized house since her husband's death 10 years ago. When Megan divorced and faced financial difficulties 3 years prior, she and Lily had moved in. It was supposed to be a temporary arrangement, but as a single mother she hadn't been able to afford her own place while supporting them both. Parking at the entrance, Megan entered the house and heard the television and her mother's voice coming from the living room. "Megan, is that you?" Barbara's tone carried more confirmation than welcome. "Yes, Mom, just got home." Entering the living room, she found Barbara lounging on the sofa in what appeared to be an expensive robe as usual. "Where's Lily?" Megan looked around. "Upstairs doing homework. I've put your dinner in the refrigerator. Heat it up when you're ready, thank you." Megan smiled, but her mother's eyes remained fixed on the television. On her way to the kitchen, the phone rang. Barbara exclaimed happily, "Oh, it's Ashley." Megan froze. Hearing her sister's name always brought a cold sensation to her chest. Ashley had always been the family favorite. After a wild high school period and barely attending college, she had ultimately married a wealthy man named Jason and lived a winner's life. "Yes, of course. Come any time." "Oh, Emma's coming too." "Wonderful." Barbara's voice was filled with warmth and affection she never used with Megan. In the kitchen, while heating up the cold lasagna, Megan listened to her mother's conversation. "What's that? Water damage at your house. Oh my, how terrible. Yes, of course, stay here. This house is plenty big." Megan frowned. This was the first she'd heard about Ashley's family coming. After hanging up, her mother appeared, suddenly energized. "Ashley and her family will be staying for a few days. They have water damage at their house that needs repair." "I see." Megan maintained a calm facade. "How long will they be here?" "I don't know. A few days until the repairs are done." Barbara shrugged. "Your room will be fine, right? Could you share with Lily?" This was just the beginning. The next day, Ashley arrived with her 8-year-old daughter, Emma, and husband, Jason. Initially planned as just a few days, there were always new reasons to extend their stay. The repairmen are waiting for parts. Additional problems were found. Insurance paperwork is delayed. As days passed, Megan and Lily's living space was gradually encroached upon. "Emma wants to use your bathroom. Could you let her keep her things in there?" "Jason needs space for a home office. Could you move your desk a bit?" And Megan could never refuse. The house belonged to Barbara, and Megan and Lily were merely temporary residents. Ashley knew this perfectly well. "Are you working on tax strategies for corporate chief financial officers?" Ashley peered at Megan's accounting papers with a sarcastic smile. "Or applying for single mother welfare benefits?" Megan silently gathered her papers. For Lily's sake, she always tried to maintain her composure. After 1 month, Ashley's true intentions became clear. She complained to their mother daily, whispering criticisms about Megan. "Mom, is Megan still planning to live here? It's been 3 years already. I'd be too embarrassed to keep imposing on my parents' home. Mom, Megan's room is such a waste. It's so spacious and they're not even here during the day. We should be using it." Megan felt her relationship with her mother deteriorating daily. Barbara's gaze grew harsher, her words more abrupt. Still, Megan endured. Her savings were steadily increasing, and in a few more months she would be able to look for their own place. She endured everything for Lily's sake. This tense situation finally reached its breaking point. That day, Megan was particularly exhausted. In the midst of tax season, she had been at the office from 7 ante-meridian until 8 post-meridian, wrestling with complex financial documents for her clients, taxi drivers, and small business owners. The customers she served were ordinary citizens hoping to save a little on their taxes. To honor their trust, Megan paid attention to every detail, checking each line carefully. On her way home, she called Lily on her cell phone. Usually responding with an energetic voice, her daughter sounded different today. "Lily, Mom's on her way home." "Have you eaten dinner, Mom?" Lily's voice was tinged with anxiety. "Come home right now. What's wrong? Did something happen?" Megan's heart began to race. "Yes, but I can't say over the phone. Just hurry home." After hanging up, Megan asked the taxi driver to hurry. When she arrived home, it was already dark, with lights seeping through the windows. Opening the front door, she heard voices from the living room. Her mother and sister's cheerful laughter along with the television, but Lily was nowhere to be seen. "Lily!" Megan called out. The sound of small footsteps came from upstairs, and Lily ran down. Her eyes were red, showing signs of crying. "Mom!" Lily rushed over and hugged Megan tightly. "Look." Lily led her mother upstairs. Barbara's house was an old Victorian with 4 bedrooms on the second floor. The largest master bedroom was Barbara's, and the second largest was now temporarily occupied by Ashley's family. Megan and Lily used the remaining 2 rooms, one as Megan's bedroom and home office, the other as Lily's room. When Megan opened the door to her room, there was nothing inside. The bed, desk, bookshelf, dresser, everything was gone. The photos that had hung on the walls, the rug on the floor, the small houseplant by the window, all had vanished. The room was completely empty. What is? Megan was speechless. Lily's room was the same. Her dolls, toys, school textbooks, clothes, all had disappeared. As Megan stood stunned in the hallway, she heard a door open behind her. Turning around, she saw Barbara smiling. Her hair was more meticulously styled than usual, and she wore a dress typically reserved for weekend dinner parties. "Oh, Megan, you're home," she said. "Mom, what's going on? Where are our belongings?" Megan asked with a trembling voice. Barbara replied in a light tone, "Oh, Jason moved everything to the doghouse in the yard. Ashley's in-laws are coming to stay tomorrow, so we needed the rooms." "The doghouse?" Megan repeated in disbelief. In Barbara's backyard stood a small shed built for her Labrador, which had died 7 years ago. No one had used the shed since then. "Since your sister's family is coming, you two can use the doghouse in the yard." Barbara's voice had a coldness to it. "This is my house, and I decide what happens here. But Mom, you promised we could live here." Megan couldn't hide her distress. "Megan, it's been 3 years and you're still here. Don't you think it's time you got your life back together?" Lily squeezed Megan's hand tightly. With a mix of fear and anger, she watched Barbara descend the stairs. Megan and Lily went downstairs. In the living room, Ashley sat gracefully on the sofa, leafing through a magazine with a glass of wine in hand. When Megan entered, she looked up and smiled. "Oh, Megan, you're late today. Work tough." Ashley's voice carried obvious mockery. "Ashley, why did you move our things?" Megan tried to remain calm, but her voice shook. "Didn't Mom explain? My in-laws are coming. We need your rooms." Ashley sipped her wine. "Isn't the doghouse spacious enough? Seems fitting for a single mother." Those words cut like a knife, stabbing into Megan's chest. Barbara said nothing, having begun dinner preparations in the kitchen as if nothing was wrong. "Mom." Lily's small voice interrupted Megan's thoughts. "Let's go see our stuff." In the backyard, their belongings were haphazardly piled around the doghouse. The shed itself was about 80 square feet, with old wooden boards on the walls and gaps in the roof that looked likely to leak. There were no windows, and the door barely hung on rusty hinges. Inside, Megan's mattress was placed directly on the floor, with Lily's small bed crammed into a corner. Boxes of clothes and documents were stacked up, leaving only a narrow passageway between them. There was no electricity and no bathroom. "This is our new home." Lily looked around in disbelief. Megan stood speechless. Years of struggle, the humiliation she'd endured, the cold treatment from her mother and sister, it all came rushing back. But what devastated her most was the sad expression on Lily's face. "Mom," Lily suddenly spoke with a firm voice, "we don't need to stay here anymore." There was a determination in her daughter's eyes that Megan had never seen before, with a maturity beyond her 10 years. Lily continued, "This house isn't our home. Grandma and Aunt Ashley don't think of us as family." "But Lily, where can we go tonight?" Megan felt lost. "Why not call Aunt Sarah?" she said before. If you ever need help, just ask. Sarah was Megan's best friend and a colleague at the office. She was single and lived in a spacious apartment. At Lily's suggestion, Megan smiled for the first time. "You're right. I'll call Sarah." As Megan took out her cell phone, Lily began packing some clothes and school textbooks from the shed. Megan also packed a suitcase with essential clothes and important documents. Sarah didn't hesitate, saying, "Come right away." 30 minutes later, she arrived in her car in front of Barbara's house. Megan and Lily left with just a few bags. Neither Barbara nor Ashley tried to stop them. "I'm sure you'll be back soon," Ashley said coldly from the sofa without moving. "You have nowhere else to go." Megan turned around and looked at her sister and mother. Then she made up her mind. She would never return to this house. "Goodbye, Mom." "Goodbye, Ashley. I think someday you'll regret what you've done today." Getting into Sarah's car, Lily looked back at the house one last time through the window. "Mom, we're going to be okay, right?" Megan squeezed her daughter's hand firmly. "Yes, we'll be fine. We have our own path to follow." As the car drove away, Barbara's house grew smaller in the distance. Megan felt anger and sadness in her heart, but an even stronger determination. Sarah's apartment was on the 4th floor of an old brick building downtown. Though not spacious, it was clean with large windows overlooking trees in the park. That first night, Megan barely slept on the sofa. Lily was asleep in Sarah's spare bedroom, but Megan had to face the cold reality. "Are you really okay?" Sarah appeared in the living room with 2 coffee cups as morning light filtered through the curtains. "Looks like you hardly slept last night." Megan accepted the cup with a tired smile. "Thank you, Sarah, this really helps, don't worry about it. I was getting tired of living alone anyway." Sarah sat down next to her and asked, "So, what's your plan now?" Megan took a deep breath. "First, I need to find an apartment. I have enough savings for a down payment and the first few months' rent." "There's no rush," Sarah said. But Megan was determined. "Thank you. But this is something I need to do myself." From that day, Megan's new life began. She woke up early, took Lily to school, then went to the office. In the evening, she picked Lily up at Sarah's apartment. And at night, she searched for apartments online and checked properties. On weekends, they visited places in person. "Mom, this place is small," Lily said. They were looking at an old apartment in Brighton with just 1 bedroom and a living room. "Yes," Megan answered while looking at the small courtyard visible from the window. "But the rent is affordable, and it's not too far from your school." "I don't mind if it's small." Lily squeezed Megan's hand. "It's much better than going back to Grandma's house." At those words, tears welled up in Megan's eyes. Many times she had almost given up, but her daughter's strength sustained her. 2 weeks later, Megan signed a lease. They had almost no furniture and spent the first night sleeping on mattresses on the floor. Still, they now had a place of their own. "Looks like my workspace will be the kitchen table," Megan laughed. An old wooden table and chairs were their only furniture. "I'll do my homework on the bed," Lily responded with a smile. Gradually, the rhythm of their new life took shape. Megan took on more clients to achieve financial stability as quickly as possible. She worked late into the night and spent weekends working too. "Megan, aren't you pushing yourself too hard?" Sarah asked with concern at the office. "You look pale this past month." "I'm fine," Megan answered, rubbing her tired eyes. "I just need to keep going for now." In fact, her efforts were paying off. Edward Clark, the boss at the accounting firm, had noticed Megan's work ethic. She was surprised when he suddenly appeared at her desk. "Mrs. Wilson, do you have a moment?" In his office, Edward made an unexpected proposal. Thompson Industries is looking for a new accounting manager. They're a mid-sized company but growing rapidly. Their chief executive officer is an old friend of mine, and he asked me to recommend someone trustworthy. Megan caught her breath. Thompson Industries had a good reputation locally. You could meet their expectations, Edward smiled. And of course, the salary would be much better than what you're making now. That evening, Megan shared the good news with Lily. "I might have a chance at a new job. The interview hasn't happened yet, but if I get hired, Mom, you'll definitely get it." Lily threw her arms around her mother's neck. "You work harder than anyone." The interview was stressful, but Megan's abilities and enthusiasm came through. 1 week later, she received an offer from Thompson Industries. The salary was 1.5 times her previous one with an excellent bonus structure. "I'll take it," Megan answered without hesitation. The new job was busy but fulfilling. Megan's talents flourished, and her reputation at the company gradually grew with her increased income. Life slowly became more comfortable. A sofa, television, bookshelf. Step by step, their small apartment began to feel like a home. "Mom, look." One day, Lily came running home from school, showing her a test paper. She had scored 100% on a math test. "That's wonderful." Megan hugged her daughter. Mr. Daniels said, "I might be able to compete in the math Olympiad." Lily had adapted to her new school and was making more friends. Above all, her academic performance had improved dramatically. Previously, in the tense atmosphere of Barbara's house, she had tended to be withdrawn. Now she was lively and confident. Megan was the same. Freed from the constraints of her relationship with her mother and sister, she was now expressing her true talents at work. Her proposals were repeatedly adopted, and she even received direct thanks from the chief executive officer. "We're really glad you came on board." Chief Executive Officer John Thompson said, "Our company's financial situation has become clearer, and we can now see a path forward." About 9 months after starting their new life, Megan made a big decision. "Lily, I want to talk to you about something." She sat facing her daughter after dinner. "I'm thinking about buying a house." Lily's eyes widened. "Really? Our own house?" "Yes. It's still small, but it has a yard and a room just for you." It was a small ranch house they'd found in the suburbs, about 30 years old and needing some repairs, but it had a living room filled with warm sunlight and an old apple tree in the backyard. "When can we move in?" Lily jumped with excitement. "Next month, if the loan is approved," Megan answered with a smile. That night, lying in bed, Megan reflected on the past year. A reality she couldn't have imagined the night she left her mother's house was now unfolding before her. There had been difficult days, but Lily, and she had overcome them and grown stronger. She no longer needed to depend on her mother or sister. She wouldn't even need to call them when leaving the apartment. Megan and Lily were forging a new life by themselves. On a peaceful Sunday morning, 3 months after moving into their new house, Megan was having breakfast with Lily under the apple tree in the backyard. The soft May sunshine filtered through the leaves, illuminating their table. "Mom, what are we doing today?" Lily asked, bringing a pancake to her mouth. "Well, how about going to the home improvement store this afternoon to look at wallpaper for your room?" Megan smiled. Lily's face lit up. "Do you think they'll have Star Wars patterns?" "Let's find out." The peaceful morning air was interrupted by Megan's cell phone ringing. Looking at the screen, she saw Mom displayed. There had been no contact from Barbara since they had left the house. For a moment, Megan hesitated whether to answer, but thinking her mother wouldn't call unless it was something serious, she pressed the button. "Hello, Megan." Barbara's voice was the weakest Megan had ever heard. "I need your help." Megan felt her spine freeze. "What's happened?" "It's Emma. She's seriously ill. Her kidneys." Barbara's voice broke with tears. "There's a serious problem." Megan stood up and moved slightly away from Lily to continue the conversation. "Slow down, Mom. What's wrong with Emma's kidneys?" "Acute kidney failure," Barbara explained with a trembling voice. "She needs an urgent transplant. We've all been tested, but—" "And?" Megan prompted. "You're the only match." Megan was speechless. The memory of that night 1 year ago when she and Lily had been relegated to the doghouse came vividly back. Ashley's sneers, her mother's indifference, those memories swirled within her. "Come see me," Barbara continued. "Please, Megan, if only for Emma's sake." After hanging up, Megan couldn't move for a while. Lily approached with concern. "Mom, are you okay? Who was that?" "It was Grandma," Megan answered quietly. "Emma is sick and in the hospital." Lily's expression darkened. "Emma, is she going to be all right? It's a kidney disease." Megan sat back down. "My kidney might be compatible with hers." Lily silently took her mother's hand. "What are you going to do?" Megan took a deep breath. "Honestly, I don't know." For the rest of the day, Megan struggled internally. Emma was an 8-year-old child. Even if she was Ashley's daughter, Megan couldn't stand by and watch her suffer. But at the same time, remembering that humiliating treatment brought up anger within her. "Lily, after you go to school tomorrow, I'm thinking of going to Grandma's house." Megan announced her decision at dinner. "I'm coming too," Lily said immediately. "But school, tomorrow's a half day, remember? It's a teacher conference day. Megan smiled. That's right, then let's go together. The next day, they stood in front of Barbara's house. Barbara herself opened the door. Unlike 1 year ago, she looked noticeably aged. Her hair was disheveled, and deep fatigue marked her face. Megan, Lily. Tears welled up in Barbara's eyes. You came. When they entered the living room, the once luxurious room gave a somewhat dilapidated impression. The furniture was the same, but it seemed poorly maintained. Blankets and clothes were scattered on the sofa. An empty cup sat on the coffee table. Where's Ashley? Megan asked quietly. At the hospital, Barbara collapsed into a chair. She can't leave Emma's side. Can you tell me more about the situation? Barbara lowered her eyes. 3 weeks ago, Emma suddenly developed a high fever. At first we thought it was just a common cold, but it didn't get better. Tests showed that a congenital kidney disease had worsened. Congenital? Megan frowned. You knew about this before. Ashley seemed to know, but she didn't take it seriously. Barbara's voice had an unusual tone of criticism. She didn't even take her for regular checkups. Just then, they heard the front door open. Ashley came in, but there was no trace of the haughty sister Megan remembered. Her hair was unkempt, her complexion poor with large dark circles under her eyes. When she saw Megan and Lily, she stopped. You came. Ashley's voice was weak. Megan stood up. How is Emma doing? She's stable, but we don't have much time. Ashley collapsed into a chair. I'm separated from Jason. He only cares about his company, not Emma's condition. Megan was surprised. Separated? Since when? 4 months ago, Ashley's voice was hollow. We lost our house too. Jason had secretly been accumulating debt. It was then that Megan realized the truth 1 year ago, when Ashley's family came to her mother's house claiming water damage. They had actually lost their house to foreclosure. There was no water damage at your house, was there? Megan said quietly. Ashley looked up, gazing at Megan with tired eyes. I'm sorry for lying. My pride choked on her words. Barbara remained silent. She too was a changed person. Instead of her luxurious dresses and perfect makeup, she wore simple clothes. You didn't know either, Mom? Megan asked Barbara. Not until recently. Barbara sighed deeply. My savings were used up by Ashley to pay off her debts. A heavy silence filled the room. Megan looked out the window. She could see the scene where she and Lily had left that night. Then she had been full of anger and sadness, but now she felt strangely calm. Is it true that my kidney is a match for Emma? She returned to the topic. Ashley nodded. Thank you just for listening. Megan took a deep breath. I have conditions. Anything. Ashley answered immediately. I'll do anything. First, sell this house. Megan's voice was calm. Use the money to pay off debts and set aside funds for Mom's retirement and Emma's treatment. Barbara opened her mouth but said nothing. Then Megan continued. Ashley, you need to work. Learn to live by your own strength. Ashley nodded. I've already started part-time at a supermarket. Her voice had none of its former arrogance. And finally, Megan placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. Understand what a real family is. Family isn't just about blood relations. It's about relationships where we respect and support each other. Tears fell from Barbara's eyes. Megan, you were always the strongest. Mom, Lily suddenly spoke up. I want to see Emma. Megan looked at her daughter and smiled slightly. Yes, let's go to the hospital. In her heart, she still had complex feelings toward Ashley and her mother. She didn't know if the day would come when she could fully forgive them. But now, Megan made a choice. It was a choice to let go of hatred and build a new relationship. I'll be a donor for Emma, Megan said simply. She's done nothing wrong. She's just a child. Ashley fell to her knees and tearfully took Megan's hands. Thank you. Thank you. Her pride was completely shattered. Before leaving the house, Megan turned to look at her mother and sister. We can't go back to how things were, but we can start a new relationship. Then she took Lily's hand and headed to the hospital. 1 year ago, Megan had said, someday you'll regret what you've done. Ironically, her words had become reality, but in a different way than she had imagined. 6 months after the surgery, on an autumn day, Megan was preparing a barbecue in the backyard of her home. Red apples hung heavily on the tree, and children's laughter echoed in the garden. Mom, I'm taking drinks to Emma. Lily picked up 2 glasses of lemonade with ice. In the shade of the tree, Emma was drawing a colorful picture. The surgery had been successful, and she was recovering well. Her profile reminded Megan of the young Ashley, but her eyes had the same kindness Megan remembered from her own childhood. "Megan, can I help?" Barbara came out from the kitchen. She now spent every weekend at her daughter's house. Barbara's house had been sold, and she had started living alone in a small apartment. "Thank you, Mom." Megan smiled. "Could you prepare the salad?" Her relationship with Barbara was healing gradually. It wasn't perfect, but a new relationship was blooming. She no longer looked down on Megan, but rather regarded her with respect. "Ashley's coming soon, right?" Barbara asked. "Yes, as soon as she finishes work." Ashley had started working as a receptionist at the local community college. At the same time, she was taking evening courses in accounting. Her divorce from Jason was final, and she was learning to live on her own strength for the first time. "Hello, everyone," a voice called from the entrance. Ashley appeared carrying a paper bag. "I brought cake." "Oh, thank you." Megan accepted it. Ashley's transformation was the most dramatic. Her former arrogance had disappeared, replaced by humility and gratitude in her words and actions. Emma's illness and the family crisis had taught her a profound lesson. "Mom." Emma came running over. "Look, I drew a picture of Aunt Megan." Ashley smiled at her daughter's drawing. It showed two women, herself holding Emma and Megan extending a hand to Emma. "It's a beautiful picture." Ashley hugged her daughter. "Aunt Megan is a special person." Megan quietly observed the scene. Her life had taken an unexpected direction. At work, she had been promoted to a more responsible position. Lily had been selected for a special mathematics program at school and was developing her talents. And now, a new bond was forming with the family that had once hurt her. At dinner, Barbara quietly raised her glass. "Megan, thank you for your courage and compassion. We were wrong. We've all grown." Megan responded calmly. She hadn't reached complete forgiveness, but she had found peace in letting go of hatred. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Megan went out to the backyard. Under the starry sky, she took a deep breath. Life is unpredictable. 1.5 years ago, she had her belongings thrown into a doghouse and suffered humiliation. But now, she had become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. "Mom?" Lily poked her head out the window. "Can I take Emma to the park tomorrow?" Megan smiled. Of course. They had all learned the true meaning of family through difficult trials. More important than blood ties was the heart that respects and supports each other.